Welcome. Today we are going to be looking at what makes a good speaker. And I know what you're thinking. What do I know about being a good speaker? Well, when you watch the video at the end, if you think I still don't know anything, just leave a comment. I'm open to feedback. But what this video is not, is it is not a highly edited 10-minute video with music going on in the background with the 3 best tips on how to become a better speaker. We are going to run through actual videos of public speakers and people talking on the daily to understand what makes them fantastic. So none of this 3 tips on how to become the best speaker. So if you're here to learn something, you're in the right spot. If you're not and you don't want to learn anything, then I recommend going and finding a motivational TikTok with those 3 tips you're looking for. So anyway, let's get started. Speaking 101. Simple, got to start from the basics. Now, in speaking, you hear a lot of speaking gurus all the time say, you need to be confident when you speak. The problem is, a lot of them say this, but they never explain what is confidence when speaking. The reason gurus like this type of language, what is confidence? You got to be confident when you speak, is because it's so vague. It's right to an extent, but it's extremely vague. So it's really easy to just tell people, be confident, and not explain what it actually means to be confident when speaking. So let me tell you what confidence is not. Confidence is not a voice you put on. Confidence is not a cadence that you speak at or the words you use. This idea, you see it all the time on the speaking gurus or whatever you're trying to watch on social media, is they tell you, you should try putting on a voice, or finding some inner monologue or character that you need to act as. And it's really bad advice because it's not you. If you listen to some of the best speakers in the world, Tony Robbins, who we'll look at later, you have Higher Up Wellness, Michael, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but he's great on TikTok and Instagram. If you don't know him, I recommend going and giving him a follow. Any politician, the reason they sound so good when speaking is because they're just them. They don't have a voice to them. They're just talking, and they just are very good at it. Now, the cadence that you speak at, this is a little bit of an arguable one because the cadence is very important, but a lot of gurus will sit there and tell you, oh yeah, before you ask a question, you need to ramp up your speed and then slow down. And then right there, that's when you get to the important stuff. And it's super niche advice to where you're not going to be using that. It's not going to make or break your everyday conversation, or if you're trying to become a public speaker, that's not what's going to get you there. Most people's problem is not these super niche, oh, when you ask a question, you need to slow down and hit right here. And then you got to really wonder. That's not the difference. So that's not a problem. It sounds good. Again, this is all guru advice. It all sounds great. Yeah, you need to do this right before you ask a question because then you'll sound professional. Dumb. Very, very dumb. Super niche advice. It might be great if you're already a fantastic speaker and now you're really just getting into the details, but for the everyday person, that is not what is making or breaking your speech. Next, the words you use. This one, people will tell you to learn fancy words. It helps, but most people just sound really awkward when they try to force words they don't really understand into sentences. And even if you do understand them, it just kind of throws off the pace. So unless you're constantly using highly advanced words, it's not that big a deal. I think there are plenty of confident speakers that don't use crazy words, so I don't think that's super important. Again, just great advice, to give someone to make it sound good, but not really, optimal. So let's go through some examples. Best examples, like we already said, Tony Robbins, Higher Up Wellness, Michael, again, don't know his last name. I apologize. Now, let's actually take a look at what makes them good speakers. So you have to excuse me when I watch this because I'm going to just play it and then cut in randomly when I can point out things. Now, I intentionally chose a video of Tony Robbins when he's on a podcast instead of when he's public speaking because a lot of speaking coaches love to give advice about public speaking, but they never get to the root of the problem. If your everyday speech is terrible, you are not magically going to follow some advice and become a fantastic speaker. If you watch Tony Robbins on a podcast, not technically public speaking, you will notice he sounds the exact same. even when he's talking directly to another person, one-on-one. He sounds the same because he is just very good at everyday speech. So let's get started.
It's strategy. Now, for you and I, strategy seems like the most natural thing to go for. If I want to achieve something, how do I do it? That's the number one question, right? The problem with asking, how do I do it, is if you've never done it before, most people then go into what I call the tyranny of how. The tyranny of how is like, have you ever done this? Set a goal, maybe when you're really young. I'm going to do this. You maybe even told him you're going to do this.
Okay, we're going to stop right there. That was only 15, 20 seconds of him speaking. And I guarantee most people are not going to understand what made him sound so good in that 15, 20 seconds. It sounds like normal talking. That's because it is. It's just normal talking. 90% of confidence when speaking is just enunciating your words properly. He didn't do anything crazy during that 15 to 20 seconds. He just enunciated and spoke. He didn't have some crazy cadence where he had to, finagle his way into his point and lead into here and do this and do that. He just spoke normally and enunciated his words all the way. That is 90% of the battle. He didn't use filler words. He didn't stutter, and he enunciated his words. That's it. That's confidence. Bang, we're done. That is 90% of the battle. Most people don't realize when they're speaking that they're not enunciating properly or that they're using a bunch of filler words, which leads us to my next point. Next point, of course, being listening. Now, what do I mean by listening? The best public speakers are the ones who listen to themselves speak. If you are not actively hearing yourself and the words that come out of your mouth, you cannot improve as a speaker because you don't even know what you're doing wrong. You don't realize you're not enunciating your words. You don't realize you're saying like, and every 2 seconds. Listening is one of the most important skills you can have as someone trying to improve your speech. Because, trust me, as soon as you start listening to other people, you will realize how terrible a lot of people are at speaking. And then you'll listen to yourself speak and you'll go, wow, I cannot believe I've been speaking like that my entire life. I can't believe how many times I say like and It's crazy. Growing up, my mom used to call me out every single time I said like, and it was unnecessary, and it was all the time. It used to get me so upset. But looking back, she was completely right. I said it all the time for no reason, and it made me sound dumb because I used tons of filler words when it wasn't necessary. One of the best pieces of advice to become a better speaker is to listen. Listen to others, listen to yourself, and really try to understand what makes someone a good speaker. You'll realize there isn't as much to it as you think. You don't need all these tips and tricks. It's as simple as, wow, I said like way too many times that sentence. I'm going to make sure the next time I speak, I don't say it as much. Great. Amazing. Or wow, I really didn't pronounce my words properly. Great. Now, the only other thing I will mention when it comes to being confident when speaking is just speaking up. Now, the only reason I don't like recommending this is because a lot of people take it as you should shout your words all the time. I've met a bunch of people who they try to speak confidently and they speak really, really loud. Speaking loud does not make you sound confident. It can help in some cases, maybe, but it's not as vital as it seems. A lot of gurus and stuff will tell you, speak louder, and that, sure, maybe. But for most people, just enunciating your words and not using filler words gets rid of 90% of the problem. 90%. Even right now, if you've been listening to me speak, I haven't been doing anything crazy. I speak exactly how I normally speak. But I'm not stuttering, I'm not using a ton of filler words, and I'm not going, You know what I mean? It's not that crazy. You just need to listen to yourself constantly. Talk to yourself, and you'll be amazed at how quickly you can become a better speaker. Listening, most important skill you can get when becoming a better speaker. Next. There is no next. That's all the advice. That's all you need to become a better speaker, is just listen. Pay attention, speak, enunciate all your words properly, listen to yourself and others speak, and you will quickly realize how terrible people are at conversating and communicating. And I promise you, after a week, 2 weeks of being around people, you're going to go, man, I really hope I don't sound like this, because they sound terrible. Now, the last piece of advice that I can give is, if you are really trying to learn quickly and become a better speaker very, very fast, it is to slow down how much you talk. Now, what do I mean? This is different than cadence. What I mean is, when you're out in public or you're speaking with people, every time someone asks you to say something, pause for just 1 second. Think about what you're going to say, and then say it. The reason I say this is because a lot of people will get asked a question and they'll immediately fire back. They'll go, blah, blah, blah. And most of the time they'll make mistakes because they're not thinking. They're not thinking. If you give yourself 1 to 3 seconds, which no one's going to question you for taking 1 to 3 seconds. And if they do, you just tell them, I'm thinking about my answer. But when you're talking with people, before you answer or before you respond back, take 1 second and go, what am I going to say? Okay, here's what I'm going to say. And then you're good. The problem is, a lot of people want to skip steps and want to become Tony Robbins instantly, become a fantastic speaker and go, rattle off the top of their brain and sound amazing. The problem is, Tony Robbins has been doing it for years. He's a fantastic speaker. People like that are amazing at it, and they've been doing it forever. If you haven't been practicing your speech your entire life, you're not going to magically become a machine gun and become a fantastic speaker overnight. You need to practice. And the nice part about speaking is you can practice all the time. Most people speak all day, every day, to random people, to strangers, to people at work, school, whatever it is. Practice all the time. Just think about it constantly. Constantly in the back of your mind, go, am I speaking professionally? Do I sound good when I'm communicating? And I guarantee you, in 2 weeks, probably less if you actually try, in 2 weeks or less, you will become amazing at speaking. And it'll be night and day difference. Because the nicest part is, most of the changes you can make to your speech will change 90% of your speech. If you just get rid of filler words, you'll already be ahead of 90% of people. If you get rid of filler words, don't swear, and enunciate properly, you're already speaking better than most of the population. That's it. So try that. Whether it's at school or work or just for fun, just trying to improve your speech. Try it. Let me know how it goes. It really is not that hard. People try to make it seem like it's this big deal. It's not. You speak 24/7. You speak all the time, every day. So it should be the easiest thing to practice because you have constant repetition all the time. So give it a shot. And leave a comment if you think this helped you, because I promise you, for a majority of people, this would probably change exactly how you speak. This is what changed how I spoke. I went many years sounding like a bumbling idiot. And then when I found this advice, it completely changed how I perceived speech and talking every day. So leave a comment if you found this useful. Then please subscribe. I'll post more. I wanted to go through more videos, other people's content, but I wasn't sure the restrictions and rules about it. So, oh well, maybe next time we'll go through some deep dives, or I'll do a live stream doing it. But yep, leave a comment, leave a like, or subscribe. I appreciate you. Have a great rest of your day.